Jason, what is going on with the U.S. Postal Service these days? I have no idea what's happening with logistics in this world.
I don't have an answer for you here. I know I should, too.
I ordered a thing. I backed a calendar on Kickstarter, which is a thing that's like a little bit time sensitive, you know? And it said it was shipped.
Sorry, that was good. I was delayed, but that was good.
So anyway, it said it was shipped in October when it was supposed to be shipped, you know, so that I would get it before the beginning of the year. And it even said it was delivered. And then, you know, as we all know that I've been away for a little while, I got home and, you know, I said, oh, did my calendar come? You know, oh, there should be this mail for me. And it was nowhere to be found. And we looked all over the place. You know, I was like, oh, did my wife like get it? And then like squirreled away somewhere just like to store it while I was gone or something. And like, no, that's not what happened. Like a week ago, this calendar finally shows up in the mailbox, shipped with USPS with a confirmation number that said it had been delivered like 3 months ago. And then all of a sudden it just shows up. I figured it was just totally lost. And I was like, oh, well, that's a bummer. But no, my calendar's here and it's hanging on my wall.
Okay, so you're going to hate this, but I am not surprised by this story at all.
Yeah, disappointing.
I know. So, I mean, for those that don't know, I work in e-commerce, and so I see a lot of shipment stuff, right? Like packages and whatnot. U.S. Postal Service is the worst. Just the worst. Just out of all of them, the worst. And they're the worst because they're the worst about their tracking information being incorrect. And I don't know why that is. I don't know what it is about their policy or the way that they scan packages or whatever it is, but they are the worst for their tracking number or for their tracking information just plain out being wrong. And whether that shows delivered and not, or whether that shows not delivered and it is, and they're also the worst for just things just like, so for you, clearly it got stuck somewhere. So they're also the worst for accurately reporting but just losing things and letting them get stuck all the time. So I don't know. U.S. Postal Service. Yeah, I don't know. FedEx is a little better, but not really that good. UPS, in my opinion, has got the best track record, but I don't know. I'm not surprised. I'm glad you got it though. It was only a month late.
Yeah, well, a month, that's like 1/12 of the utility of this thing.
Welcome to Pride and Accomplishment. My name is Jason.
And I'm Chris. This is episode 94.
Chris, for the last, 2-3 episodes or so, you and I have come ready with show notes and pre-work and homework and made lists and done some research. And we've had some really solid pre-planned shows.
Yep. And they were great.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. And we're done with that. So welcome to 2023. Back to P&A, normal, regular, where Chris and I throw together show notes on what we want to talk about right before the show. And we just talk about whatever we want to talk about. So welcome back to that. And I guess let's get to it.
Thanks for being here.
We did talk a little bit last episode where we said what we were excited about in 2023. We talked about WoW and World of Warcraft and that there's still more to do in World of Warcraft. And since last episode, you and I have had some new experiences.
Yes, we have. What Jason's alluding to here is that we have gotten a little bit into raiding in World of Warcraft in a more, shall we say, legitimate capacity. So last time we had talked about raiding, we had both done LFR, which is the looking for raid tier, which is like the easy tier with a bunch of random people that you get match made. And, you know, it's not really that hard and people don't really take it that seriously. But now we have experienced what I would really call progression raids for the group that we were with.
I would absolutely agree with the word progression being used in this case. This is the first time that I have ever experienced a boss kill where we knew the strategy, but there wasn't like you must do this to win. This is the strategy. This is what you do every single time. This is, what I'm alluding to here is Guild Wars, right? In Guild Wars, there is a strategy. You follow that strategy and you get the boss kill. And here we did, for those that are familiar with World of Warcraft, we were on heroic rating. Chris and I were in a group of 14, right? 239.
Yeah, something like that. 239 or 249. Yeah.
We were doing heroic Primal Council, which is the second boss in the wing that is for season 1. And it was tough. I mean, it was good. We walked in, our first pull was like 89% boss health left, and we wiped, and we're like, let's do it again. And I think it took 8 or 9 pulls. It was great. It was so much fun.
Yeah, that was the kind of thing where you really do every time get a little bit better. And then like you have a little stumble where like, oh, oops, one of the tanks died in the first 30 seconds. All right, wipe this one, try again. And everybody just kind of does it, right? And everybody's like on the same page, and you're all trying to get the same thing. And it's a really cool, it's really what makes the end game, I think, of World of Warcraft better than a lot of other games that have these kinds of end games, because you can bring so many people and you can have such a level of coordination. It's really hard to find, but when you have it, it's really good.
The group we are in is super positive, a lot of fun, a lot of helpful kind of comments back and forth, but no judgment. Or it's been a lot of fun, to be in a group like that. And this group is now pushing content that is tough, and I would say is tough for everyone in the group, including myself, and I would assume including you. And that's good. Like, up until this point, the reason that Chris and I had kind of said, oh, we haven't really gotten here. We were doing raiding, but it wasn't difficult, right? Like there was a lot of room for mistake. There was a lot of kind of all of that. And we hit that wall. And as much as like a lot of, I feel like a lot of people that don't play video games or don't play video games in the way that we do don't understand that like when we hit a wall that's actually tough and difficult and challenging, that's what I want. I want that. I want to not kill the boss on the first pull. And it's such a weird thing to say, just because it's such a different kind of game and progression and thrill.
Yeah, you want to fail.
Yeah, I want it to be hard enough that I want to fail, because failure then like leads to learning and adapting and like having to change your play style and change things up and like really understanding what's going on and communication with people in your group. And it was just so good. It was so good. I was so happy with it. And that was only the first boss was still really easy, to be fair, of heroic, but the second boss was tough. I mean, it took us 8 pulls. Fine. Great. 8 pulls, one night. We got the kill, which was amazing. And there are 6 more to go. Like it's I'm ready. I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah. Up until that point, we had done 7 of 8 of the bosses on normal in essentially the first try. Like, I know it wasn't every single one the first try, but like most of them were first try. So it was like, oh, this is rating. Well, this is super easy. Why does anybody think this is hard? And then we got to the last boss, Razagath, and of course that was really difficult because it's a very mechanic heavy fight, and everybody has to be very much on their game and very on point to do all the mechanics at the expense of DPS and rotations and things, just because otherwise you will die. But everything else was pretty easy. People would explain whatever it says on Wowhead to do for that boss. Everybody would execute it well the first time, and then you would breeze right through. So there was a little bit of like, oh, is this it? And then you hit the wall of Razagath, the end boss, and you're like, uh-oh, this is really tough. And then you start thinking about heroic, and then you go to heroic and you do the first boss in heroic. You're like, oh, well, this isn't so bad. I guess raids aren't that bad. And then you go to the second boss, you go to Primal Council, and you get destroyed. And that's when it starts to get interesting.
I remember the moment, we were pulling the first boss and everyone was like, oh, that's super easy. It's heroic, blah, blah, blah. And then we pulled Primal Council and we failed almost instantly. It was less than 30 seconds into the fight. And someone goes, here it is. Welcome to heroic. And I went, yes.
Yeah. So we'll have to, now the trick comes as a group. How do we balance going through those normals if anybody needs gear from the normals and pushing on that heroic stuff? Because we've only got so much time in the day and so much time in the raid to kind of decide what to do about that and figure it out.
Yeah, I go back and forth on that. My personal opinion on this, and I'm wondering what you think, is a lot of the people we play with tend to do their gear grind on the mythic dungeon side. and the rating is more of a personal goal. I don't know that anyone, and this maybe goes into some other like things. The rewards and the gear that you get from raids just don't seem as efficient.
Oh, absolutely not.
And I don't think that anyone in our group, and I don't think anyone is kidding themselves that we're going to be doing a lot of raiding for gear. I mean, just go do your mythics like that. That's where your gear's from. And then the only thing that the only reason I'm doing raiding, I don't care about the gear. I really don't. Maybe the transmog for some of the tier stuff, but like I'm not chasing anything gear wise in raids. The only reason I'm doing raids is because they're fun and they're challenging and it's a goal.
Yeah, I think I generally agree with that. I need to look into it a little bit more because sometimes your best in slot stuff does drop from the raids. And like, that's something that's worth at least saying, oh, well, if we're going to choose between, boss A and boss B, I would prefer boss B because it has the thing I need to drop. Like, that might be the extent of it that I get into. But really, yeah, if we can get, right now the goal is to get ahead of the curve, or AOTC, which is the heroic Razagath. So that's killing the final boss on heroic difficulty before the end of this season, which we think is probably going to be sometime in the early summer, late spring kind of time frame, which is fine. I think we can do it. And obviously the first thing we'll have to do is get it down on normal, just, to prove to ourselves that we can. But after that, I think that's a great goal to go for. And it's really exciting to say like, oh yeah, we're going to be pushing on this and trying to get there.
I really want that AOTC achievement. I don't know. I mean, again, it's just for me. And I think you've gotten it before, right?
I have gotten it before, but every time that I've gotten it in the past, it's come from like, I've had friends that have been in a heroic group or friends that are better at getting themselves taken along on pickup groups. And they have said, hey, I'm about to do a heroic Jaina kill, which is like the final boss of a couple of expansions ago's first raid or something. And they'd say like, I'm going to go on a Jaina kill. Do you want to come with? And then I would go with them, and I would basically not have seen most of the rest of the raid. And then I would just go into this final fight and, hope that I had watched enough YouTube videos or whatever so that I could pull my weight. And then I would, get the AOTC, not really by cheating, but kind of by like cheesing it a little bit. So this is the first time where I kind of see a path towards being able to go with a relatively consistent group and actually earn it, shall we say? Like really go through and say like, I've done all of the bosses up to this one.
Yeah, no, it feels good. I'm ready. I'm looking forward to this. I hope we get there. I think the trajectory that we're on, we're going to need to move pretty quickly through some of these heroic bosses. But if we get one a night, which is kind of what we're looking at, one a night until maybe the last two bosses. Which I think might be possible, right? That's 2 hours on each boss. The strategies are already worked out. How we're supposed to do it is already worked out. It just comes down to execution and really, honestly, enough people having enough gear. So I think we'll get there. We're gonna have to push it though. I mean, I do think that we're gonna have to really try and push it to get there by the end of spring.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it, and I do think that we have a long way to go, but there are some really cool tools that actually help to get us there, right? To help us learn what is going wrong and what we're missing and how we can get better. And I think that's actually one of the other really big things that started to come up in the last week or so as we've started to think about raids more seriously.
Oh God, the world. I talked about this a couple of episodes ago I was starting to find some of the tools and the websites that I wanted to subscribe to and really get involved with in the WoW kind of world. And on this latest round of heroic raiding, we have stumbled into this amazing pool of tools and analysis. And it has been so much fun, both seeing what people have built and how 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 nice it is to be to be a part of such a big game that has so much resources and such a large community behind it, and to utilize those, right? To see, okay, how is it actually going to help me? It's just been, I haven't even benefited from it yet, but like reading through and like saying, okay, I need to now focus on this, and this is how I'm going to improve. And just all of that has been such a joy, again, because we finally got to content we couldn't do in the first poll. And it's been so nice to actually like be required to better yourself to get through this content. I mean, it all starts with logging, right? And logging your fights and all of that. And I have that in Guild Wars 2. Chris, I don't know if I ever showed you like some of the combat logs from Guild Wars 2, but a lot of the stuff we're talking about was there, right? DPS and who had buffs and what percentage uptime, and even the combat replay was there. Had you seen that for Guild Wars 2 from the rating perspective?
No, I don't think I had ever actually seen the replays and stuff. I knew that there was such a thing as logs for Guild Wars and that you could like upload them and get some aggregate stats, but I didn't realize that they were that detailed.
Yeah, they're honestly, they're surprisingly good. And you can do some analysis after the fact on like, hey, you got hit by that mechanic 4 times, and you died because of this, and you can view the combat replay, which for someone that hasn't seen it before is kind of like a top down, almost RTS style look at the battle, showing positioning and where mechanics are happening and who's positioned where, are you stacked tight enough, all of those things. So that all existed in Guild Wars 2. Obviously, that all exists in World of Warcraft 2. They take it a step further. I mean, oh my gosh, the data and the analysis just from the logs themselves on like the raw numbers is insane. It's so granular and detailed. And part of that has to do with World of Warcraft just being a more complex game, right? There's more interactions from the skills and how you use things together, and your rotation being more complex, and just that is, those things are more complex from a World of Warcraft standpoint. I would say there's some more action oriented combat that's a little bit more difficult on the Guild Wars 2 side, but like the actual numbers game is much more complex than the World of Warcraft style. So the logs reflect that. What Guild Wars 2 doesn't have, or at least I've never seen, and it has been such an eye-opening experience to me, is you can take those logs and then run them against sets of rules or a deeper analysis of, the best people that play your class, or the best outcomes on the bosses that you're trying to kill. All of these different scenarios, and people have built this amazing tooling that says, hey, Jason, you spent 44% of that fight with your resource that you used to spend to do damage capped. Spend more of it. And, I mean, that's a super basic example, but it walks you through these things that help you improve. So the two that we have found, one is called WoW Analyzer. Okay, that's a kind of cool. Whatever, that's a boring name. But the tool itself is very cool, right? It walks you through, hey, you spent so much time capped. You spent, I think one of the stats that it showed me was I spent 27% of a fight in downtime, right? I wasn't attacking, and I wasn't contributing to the fight in some way. And that's probably, for a tank, that's probably a little bit more true. I'm doing a little bit more positioning. But it told me right below that, shoot for above 90% or shoot for less than 10% downtime. And I was like, that's cool. I see that other people are doing it, so I should strive to that. It does an analysis of the talents that you're taking and the talent tree that you've chosen. And it says, hey, you've chosen this talent. You used the skill 0 times during this fight. Maybe
you should have a different talent.
Yeah, maybe you should go spend your talent point somewhere else. And I was just like, yes, like, oh gosh, I don't know. It's been so good. WoW Analyzer for me has been, again, like, these aren't hard things to do. They aren't like, none of the, like, they're all just honestly, like from a computer science or a software engineering perspective, they're just applying a rule set to your log, right? It's not super, like, it's not artificial intelligence. It's not machine learning. They're just saying, hey, you should have less than 90% downtime for this boss because that's what all of the other logs say, right? I'm aggregating it and I'm saying, the top 85% of demon hunters on Primal Council have a higher or have a lower than 10% downtime on this boss. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I should be there. That's what I should strive for. I don't know. It's so cool.
Yeah, they do vary a lot in terms of usefulness depending on your class. I mean, you're a demon hunter, I'm a mage. For demon hunters, you had this like insanely detailed thing about all of your tanking performance and all that stuff. For mage, I got like 3 suggestions, which weren't bad suggestions, but it was like not very much in terms of detail where you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably do these things it's mentioning. That's probably a good idea. And I maybe didn't find it as cool, but I think your thing was super cool. But there's certainly still valuable things for me to learn as well. I've never gotten to the level of detail for this. Like I've never gotten this into it in terms of like analyzing logs and stuff. I always thought that was for people that were more hardcore than I am. But now I'm starting to find that I care a little bit more than I thought I did. And it's actually interesting to kind of try to learn these things for myself as well.
I think there's a really fine line here. And I think you share my opinion on this, but I'm going to put it out there and see what you think. There's an element of what you parsed, right? The big quotes of what did you parse? And that essentially is you did 50,000 DPS on this boss. For your eye level, that's a 70% parse, which means you were better than 70% of the other people on your class, on your boss, at your eye level. I know people in the world that will chase the 90, 95, 99% parses. They want to be better than everyone else. And I think it's a really fine line between wanting to be better than everyone else and wanting to use this information to better yourself to lead your group to success. And I think you and I are going to use these tools to better ourselves. And naturally, those parses will get better because we're reading the tips and we're learning. But like, if I'm at like 75%, 70%, even like 60%, and I'm doing a good enough job and our team is succeeding, I'll be happy. That's good enough for me. I'm not striving to be the best demon hunter in World of Warcraft. I'm not going to get there. I've accepted that. No big deal. I'm not even going to be the best at my rotation for my eye level as a demon hunter. I don't care. I'm not going to get there. But even if you take 1 or 2 suggestions from these tools every time you kill a boss or raid or whatever, they will help us improve. And I think that's I think that's the part of us that's like, I don't want to call us casual WoW players, but we're like just above casual now, where we actually care about what's being in these logs, but we don't care, or at least I don't care I don't care being at the best or at the top.
Yeah, I feel like we need a term for that. I don't know, like prosumer, for like consumers and professionals mixing. You need like a casual core or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, there a lot of people are trying to come up with these. In any case, these tools I love. I'm really happy with them. I'm really happy they exist. And I will be logging every single raid and mythic fight from now on.
And I will be taking a look at the logs that you upload and seeing where I can improve.
We will keep everyone updated on our progression. Right now we're on, as of today, we are 2 of 8 in heroic, and I'm really happy with that. Here's to 8 of 8 by end of spring.
Let's do it. Last episode, we talked about the things that we were looking forward to coming out in 2023, and we didn't have long to wait for some of those things to be confirmed and to get a few more details on some of those. So on February 8th, Nintendo did one of the things that they do where they call it Nintendo Direct, where they basically drop a video that's somewhere between 30 and 60 minutes long, and they rapid fire go through a bunch of game trailers, and you look at them and you're like, oh, that looks neat. Oh, that looks neat. And then they always have like one or two big ones where like, oh, that's really cool. Whether or not you actually end up playing those games, that's a whole nother story. And we've talked about that at length on the show. But they had another one of those this week, and I wanted to give a couple of the highlights because they're very relevant to the things that we talked about last time.
I saw that this was happening and chose to ignore it. So I'm glad you watched it.
Oh, I didn't watch it. I just saw the news coming out of it.
Oh, okay. All right. But I haven't heard anything.
All right. So to get the first thing out of the way, they did show off the new Zelda game, and they did not delay it for once, which is something that everybody kind of expected, is that they would come on again and they'd have the guy, the Japanese developer guy come in and like, be really apologetic and be like, unfortunately, we have to delay the game again, which they did not do. It's still on track for May 12th. So Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is coming. They had some trailer. I wasn't super interested in the trailer part of it, and there's a whole bunch of like story stuff. If you're really into this world and this particular iteration of Zelda, then you should go watch that trailer. But the thing that really jumped out to me in kind of the reporting and the news articles that I had read about this was they're pricing this game at $70 for a Switch game.
Yeah, it's a full price AAA game.
I know, and I know that's where we are now, but it just since I didn't finish the first one, the concept of the second one costing $70 is just crazy to me because I don't think I'm going to buy it. And it makes me a little bit like sad to say that.
You paid $60 for the first one, didn't you?
I think I probably paid $50 if I waited for a sale.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by this in the least. This is what games cost now.
Yeah, but like games on the Switch, though.
I don't know why that's different.
It just, I don't know. For as comparatively underpowered as that game is, or as that system is, it's hard to think of it as like AAA games. And I know that we've had the conversation before about how gameplay matters more than graphics, and I'm usually the one that's on the side of gameplay, but like it just I think I'm just sour because I'm waiting for updated Switch hardware, and the 5-year-old, cell phone processor in the Switch doesn't feel like it's worth $70 games, but I guess that's just the way of the world and I should get over it.
Well, I mean, I have news for you. You don't have to buy it, and I don't think you will. So, no harm here, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose. That's true. They did just come out. Nintendo is doing the thing again where you can buy for $100, like 2 tokens or tickets or whatever that you can redeem for games. But I don't think that this one counts. And so it's like 2 games for $100, basically. They have a couple of good games in there, like Pokemon and Animal Crossing, if you don't have Animal Crossing, and those kinds of things. But I don't think that these games are in there. And yeah, $70. I'm not going to pick this up at launch. I'm probably not even going to pick it up in its first year. Maybe I'll get the remaster on the Switch Pro or something.
Yeah, I don't know. We talked about it last time. I'm nowhere near this. I'm not surprised by the price. I'm interested in some of the news outlets and in YouTubers that I watch on what their opinions of Tears of the Kingdom might be, but I don't know. It's almost moot to me because I won't play it and I won't hear anything about it.
The one thing that I was thinking about this game, and I was like, the one thing that might make me play this and actually enjoy it is if they made it so that you had weapons that were never breaking. Like if they took away weapon durability, that might actually make me play the game.
I know. That might get me to consider it for like half off. But I actually newsflash. I know where my Switch is.
Oh wow. Breaking news.
Breaking news. I did. I found my Switch. But I'm still not going to buy Zelda.
Well, on the other end of the price spectrum, they did finally announce the Metroid Prime Trilogy remaster for $40 available today, which is pretty cool. So if you are a person that likes that old kind of first-person shooter type Metroid game, which I played on the GameCube a little bit, and it was actually not terrible, that is available on the Switch. And so I'm like barely intrigued about that, but I don't play my Switch really, so I'm probably not going to bother with this either.
I have a fun little piece of trivia for you, and it's not really trivia. It's I have never, ever played a Metroid Prime game.
Metroid Prime or Metroid?
Yeah, any of it.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I don't know. I didn't know who Samus was in Smash Bros. When I first played Smash Bros. I had no idea.
Wow. I played Metroid on the Nintendo, like the original NES, like the first Metroid I played. I was really bad at it because it was really hard, but that was like my first introduction to like games that had a character that had a gun, I think.
Yeah, I don't know the story here. I don't know anything here. So, I mean, I'm sure I know of a lot of people that are really going to enjoy this remaster, which is nice. I mean, it's a good product, and I'm generally in favor of remasters. I like the idea of remastering old games. But this one, I'll buy Zelda before I buy this one.
Oof. I think you'd actually enjoy this one more than Zelda.
Do you actually?
I think so. So if you liked the kind of environmental puzzly side of Jedi Fallen Order, I've heard that is very similar to the things that they had done in Metroid Prime.
Interesting.
Where like you have to go to a place or a planet or something and then do something, get the power up at the end of that world or level or whatever, and then go back to the place you were before, and now you can open the door that you couldn't open before because now you have the ice gun or whatever. I'm just making stuff up, but like whatever it is. And so like it's kind of that kind of style, and Jedi Fallen Order actually got a lot of praise because it was very similar to the Metroid Prime games.
Interesting. Do you have to do that in order to progress, or are those like optionals?
I think so. I'm not sure. I mean, to get all the collectibles, you certainly do, but like you don't care about collectibles. I think there are a few things where you do kind of like you look at something like, oh, I wonder how to get over there, and you can't do it until you get the thing, and you're like, oh, now I can get over there, and so then you go back to the thing, and then you open the door or do whatever the thing is.
Yeah, cool. Well, God of War does this a lot too.
Yes,
with the different stuff like that. Interesting. Okay, all right.
I don't think you would hate it.
I am watching the trailer for this game right now, and I will say I am intrigued. I wish it was coming out on PC.
Well, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, I know.
The next thing that I will kind of tempt your interest in and see if it sticks. Hey, that's
the dragon.
Yeah, the dragon from Smash Brothers.
Yeah. Wow. It was in the trailer.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. The dragon is like the big bad from anyway. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Doesn't the dragon have a name?
Gosh, yes. Ridley? No. Goodness. All right. Well, I lose. I was taking the high ground of knowing all these things about Metroid, but now I don't know that.
I think you're right. I think it's Ridley. Yeah, it's Ridley. You were right. Right.
All right. Good. Great. Gamer cred restored then.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Cool. All right. What else you got?
The next thing that I will attempt to tempt you with is that they announced that they are bringing Game Boy games to the Virtual Console on the Switch if you're subscribed to the Switch Online thing, which I know you'll never be, but if you were, you could play Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games depending on which level of subscription you have.
Give me some examples of what games are in here, because I played Game Boy and Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, so some of the games that they had were... well, for me, Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX, which was my very first Game Boy game that I bought with my own money from eBay, no less. But it was very special to me because I had bought that console, that cartridge, with my own $15 or whatever it was. So that's on here. They have, of course, like very old classics, like the Super Mario Brothers stuff from the old original black and white Game Boy. Wario Land 3 from the Game Boy Color, which I actually had and played, and I don't know why, but I did. And then I don't have the list of the Game Boy Advance games, but those I think are the more interesting things that they were talking about. I know I saw like Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario World 4, Super Mario Brothers 3, or whatever they call it, because it's Nintendo and they have very confusing names. But they have a bunch of Game Boy Advance games and stuff, and I don't know. It just seemed like this one had somewhat more of a chance of being of some interest.
Yeah, I mean, I mean these games were classics, right? I mean, these are the classics for me, because this is like my first my first introduction to gaming was on the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, and that's like where I started a lot of my, I don't want to call it gaming career, but like, you know, that's where my journey started. So like hearing about these is interesting. I didn't play a lot of the games you mentioned, but I like if there was something that like wanted to absolutely smack me over the head with nostalgia, like this would probably be it.
Mario Kart Super Circuit from the Game Boy Advance.
I didn't play that either.
Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. Super Mario Brothers 3, as I mentioned. Zelda the Minish Cap, the one where you could be tiny Zelda, like Tiny Link. I played that one a lot. This is one of those things where they start off with like, you know, 5 or 6 games, and then they're going to expand them, you know, to a month for the next year or whatever. F-Zero, Fire Emblem, Metroid Fusion, which we've already talked about. You haven't played it.
I don't know any of these. I feel so bad.
Yeah, these are all like kind of, those are all Game Boy Advance games, and then they have some.
I fell off by the time. I mean, I was less into Game Boy Advance, but like Game Boy Color was my era.
Oh, okay. Well, then let me find that list, or maybe not because I can't find it.
And even that, I only played. I don't know. I probably only owned 6 games, and that's all I really ever played.
Yeah, it's amazing how the gaming landscape is like changes from when you're a kid to when you have disposable income.
Sure, I was super happy with 6 games, and now I have I don't know, I hit 600 on Steam yet. Yeah,
Zelda Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages from the Game Boy Color days. That was a big one for me. Pokemon trading card game, the Game Boy game. Did you ever play that one?
No.
Oh yeah, they had Pokemon cards in a Game Boy Color cartridge.
That's okay. Cool, I guess.
All right, I give up. I don't think there's anything else on these lists that you're going to know anything about.
No, probably not. Real-time follow-up. I have 649 games on Steam, and you have 712.
Oh, boy. All right. Okay. Thanks, Humble.
Yeah. The last one I'm excited for you.
Yeah. So I saved the best for last. I've actually been reordering this in my document as we've been talking. I had it in like number 2, and I've been moving it down as I talked about the other things first, because I wanted to save this for last. And that is that Pikmin 4 got a release date, and it's July 21st of this year.
Heyo.
So
did we not know this?
I don't think we knew exactly when. I think we like knew they were working on Pikmin 4, but I don't think we knew that like it was coming out in 23 and that it was coming out like this time frame.
So you put it on your list as like a hopeful for 2023.
I did. I put it as I'm pretty sure this is coming out in 2023 at some point. And then I was immediately gratified with that guess today with the Pikmin 4 announcement.
So is this going to be a $70 game?
Probably. And that's going to make me sad also.
Yeah, you got to use some Best Buy or, you know, credit card credit to
make me feel better about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I used to do. Is I used to like do the pre-orders at Best Buy that would give you $10 Best Buy credit or whatever, and that would help me to justify that, you know, a $60 game that I thought should be $50.
So what did you learn anything more about the game?
They showed it. I mean, really, they showed it like trying to show you a story and things, or at least like the hints of a story, which the story is not the reason that I play Pikmin. The things I most care about, I did not get a lot of details about. And that is, does it have like the time trial modes basically, and like the challenge modes? Because those are the pieces that are fun to me, not as much the kind of main campaign storyline gameplay. So I don't know. I haven't seen much about that. There was a couple of things in the trailer that were particularly relevant, mostly a new ice type Pikmin, which allows you to like freeze bodies of water and walk on top of them, which is pretty cool. And also a little dog that you get.
Aw.
And you can control the dog, and you can actually, they showed a really fun thing in the trailer where you and all your Pikmin pile onto the dog's back and the dog can swim.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's an interesting, new, different kind of gameplay style. I'm not sure how much I'm really going to care about that. It feels a little gimmicky to me, but I think it's going to be pretty central to this game. So I hope it's well done, and it's Nintendo doing a game, and so it probably will be well done. But I guess that remains to be seen. Real-time follow-up, Pikmin 4 is able to be pre-ordered for $59.99, so $60.
Ooh, okay. It's holding its price.
Also, it's available for these vouchers things. So I'm going to have to look into that and see if I can find a second game that I want that's on the voucher thing, and then I could get it for $50.
See, now they're sucking you in.
Okay, maybe, but we'll just ignore that for now.
You're a sucker for the buy two at a lower price.
Oh, there it is. Zelda is also on the voucher.
Oh, okay. Well, you weren't planning on buying Zelda.
Well, now I guess maybe I am. It's all changed in the last 10 minutes.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, it worked. Everyone, if you want to sell anything to Chris, just offer him 2 of something for a cheaper price.
All right. I deserve that.
I mean, go look at your thing. Go look at back 2 episodes ago and I just go find how many things you bought because they were lower priced if you bought them in a bundle.
Okay. All right. Fair point.
It's fine. I mean, it's cool. It's totally fine. But like, it's definitely your weakness.
Yeah. No, you're right. You got me. It's true. Well, I'm probably going to buy this, and that's just going to be that.
Oh, can we talk about one more thing?
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it.
Hogwarts Legacy came out.
Oh, yes. Hogwarts Legacy. Yes.
The clips look really good.
Yeah, I haven't really seen much about it. I've been, I don't know, not actively avoiding it, but like also not really clicking on things and seeking it out either. But I've kind of seen some of the chatter about it, and everybody seems to like it.
No bars for me. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to play it. So like, I don't care what I see in it or spoilers or anything. It doesn't bother me. I have been watching a lot. I haven't been watching the game, but I've been watching a lot of clips of it online and on YouTube and a lot of like reviews and things like that. And I'm really impressed. I gotta say, I'm genuinely impressed with the quality that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really good. I'm glad that they finally have like come up with something with that IP that is a decent game.
The map is enormous. I don't know if you've seen a picture of the open world map.
No, I haven't.
It's I don't know. It comes across to me as a truly like high quality open world like game. Like I mean, I'm trying to think in my head of like what I would compare it to. I don't know that I know of another adapted story that has such a good open world game.
This to me feels like when like Marvel Spider-Man came out and it was like finally a good comic book game, because those had been so marginal for so long. It's interesting to see a different franchise kind of get the same treatment.
Yeah. I mean, so where are you at on this? Are you considering it like when it goes on sale kind of thing, or?
No, I would say this is not really on my radar to buy for myself. I think this is the kind of thing that if it was the headliner for a month of Humble Choice, I'd be excited about it. I'd be happy about it. I'd probably give it a try. Or if it came to Game Pass or something like that, like I'd probably give it a shot. But as we kind of talked about last episode, like I don't think I would sit down and play it like at all. Like at least, you know, we're joking and we're talking about, you know, Zelda and we're talking about Pikmin and all that. Like I know I will play Pikmin. I would probably put a few hours into Zelda at least. Like if I bought it, I would try it. But this thing, I don't think I would buy it because I'd feel like I would play it for 2 hours and then I would just never come back to it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And I think that's somewhat a symptom of the fact that, especially right now, I'm busy, right? I'm playing WoW most of the time that I'm playing games right now, because that's kind of where I am in the cycle of WoW. I think that's probably going to taper off towards the end of the season, you know, where it'll be like, okay, you know, hop on, do some raids, you know, hop off and do something else. But at least for now, that's kind of a lot of the gaming time that I've been spending. And I'm kind of happy with that at the moment, to be honest.
Can I transition one more time onto something else that's not on the show notes?
Yeah.
This is, remember, I told you at the beginning, this is just the Jason and Chris talk about whatever the heck they want, talk about episode. And I just want to, I want to throw one more thing out there. Did we talk about it last week? Maybe it was in the post show. I don't remember. Hi-Fi Rush.
We didn't talk about that. No.
Okay. Hi-Fi Rush game. Rhythm-based, open world-ish, maybe. I don't know. Cartoony, animated, indie, not to indie. I don't know. Whatever. Huge hit. No marketing. Just dropped. You go buy it. It's on Game Pass. Great game. Speaking of bite size and not wanting to sink your teeth into something super long, I have now found out that Hi-Fi Rush main story is like 11 hours.
Oh, all right. That's reasonable.
Yes, I know. It is taking everything I have not to go play it instead of WoW.
I mean, you are allowed to do that. It's okay.
No, I know. I know. I'm also reading, the single player game I'm playing right now is reading. Like, we talked about this, right? Like, as soon as I finish these books and then I finish the book that I'm supposed to finish for you, as soon as I get caught up on the reading, Hi-Fi Rush will definitely be my next single player game. And it's really tough for me to say that because I want to play God of War, but for a 10 hour, 11 hour, 13 hour game, yeah, let's do it.
I think that's reasonable. I mean, God of War, it does, and I have the same problem with a lot of games that are big like that. It feels like such a commitment, right? It feels like, oh, if I'm going to play God of War, I want to like have an entire weekend that I block off to do like the first half, and then an entire following weekend to finish the game. Like, I want to be able to do that in like a very quick succession. And I remember when you played the first God of War, you blazed through that thing in like a week in the evenings.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know why I feel that way. And we are so far off topic right now. I love this. I don't know why I feel that way because reading the books that we read, those are also 40 to 60 hour commitments. But I don't feel the need to complete that book in a day or in a week or in 2 weekends. I'm okay with reading it over time. However, I agree with you. You go and play God of War, you're just like, I gotta get this done in like 2 weeks. I don't know why I feel so different about it.
Well, I think part of it is that reading is a single player game that you can do like anywhere. You can sit in a chair, you can lie in bed, you can be sitting on the train or whatever, sitting on an airplane. Like it's a lot easier to quietly sit there, and you don't have to like have your hands engaged to be pushing the buttons and things, right? All you have to do is hold a book. It's a very low energy activity. There's no buttons to remember with a book, right? You don't have to remember what the page turn button is. You just turn the page. So I think that's one of the things for me is like, I'm going to forget all of anything I learned in terms of combos or like combat or how to be good at the game. If I put it down for more than a month, like I will completely forget what the buttons are.
There's a skill level involved there. I don't know. That's where I am at that. Hi-Fi Rush, go play it. It's, oh gosh, everything I've seen this is the game that I'm trying to avoid the spoilers on. Because it's, apparently there's a number of bosses and checkpoints and different like zones and worlds, and it's music and rhythm based. So you don't want to like, oh God, I think by the end of February, you will find me at least having downloaded and started playing this game. I wish it. Oh, I wonder.
Uh-oh.
It's $30 on Steam. I wonder if it's on Humble, if I can get it on a discount. I wonder if it runs on the Steam Deck. This be a good Steam Deck game.
It definitely does, because last time I opened Steam, I got a giant banner at the top that said it was Steam Deck verified.
Oh, God. All right.
Well, it seems like we both have some new games to look forward to. I've got, 2 Nintendo games that I may or may not play, and you've got Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, and God of War, and, all of Brandon Sanderson's entire collection, and World of Warcraft.
Oh, I've got
a job to do every day, too.
Absolutely.
One of those is going to have to slip. I'm going to go with the job.
Well, to each his own, I guess.
No. This has been a fun episode just because with all of the stuff we've been talking about in 2023, it's nice to just get back and talk about stuff that we've seen and heard and whatnot. Let us know what you've seen and heard and what other gaming news is out there and what else I should add to my list. And you can do that by getting in contact with us and starting a conversation by joining our Discord, which you can get to at discord.pnapodcast.com.
If you want to find our older episodes or read our show notes, you can visit our website at pnapodcast.com. That's P, the letter N, the letter A, podcast.com.
Oh, Chris, someone let us know. I know, now I'm thinking about it. I've totally ruined the outro, but someone hit me up a couple weeks ago and said, hey, you talked about Helldivers on a previous episode. I like Helldivers. Add Helldivers to the list. I love Helldivers, and I should totally play that too. So you know what? Someone had already, whatever. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Share it with other people, please.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you sometime.
Boy, oh boy. This is just one of those like exhausted, it was good. I like talking about this stuff. This is one of those classic, Chris and Jason should start a podcast just because we have a lot to say.
We should totally start a podcast.
I came into this thinking, oh man, that's going to be like a 20-minute episode. We just had this two really like I would call them high effort episodes.
Sure.
So let's just have a quick one. We only got 20, maybe we'll, punch one out in 20 minutes. And as always, here we are talking an hour later.
Yep. That's just kind of how we do it.